Hey friends, I wanted to bring you out into this gorgeous atmosphere, this blanket of snow. It's so pretty out here, so I hope you enjoy. I just wanted to quickly go over some current events, what's going on in regards to drugs, and to start, I want to go way back to set a foundation to 1970. So over 50 years ago, you may not know that there was a Controlled Substances Act put into place. So the CSA, and what this act did is it took different drugs and it scheduled them according to their likelihood for abuse, their relative potential for medicinal use, basically how deadly they were, how safe they were. So it goes from 5 to 1. And Schedule 1 is the worst of the worst, bad drugs, no medicinal benefit, highly addictive, according to the federal government. Now, marijuana, including hemp, non-psychoactive hemp, were scheduled as Schedule 1. Non-psychoactive hemp was included in that. Opioids, fentanyl, for example, is scheduled as safer than marijuana, according to the federal government. Now, this Controlled Substances Act has been in place, like I said, for over 50 years. And today, in 2021, marijuana remains Schedule 1, meaning it has no medicinal use and it's highly addictive. Even though we now have many, many states across the U.S. with medical marijuana programs. So that's kind of the baseline, so you understand a little bit more about what's happening currently. So I have my notes here. Starting in 2017, let's just go back a few years now. In 2017, more than 47,000 Americans died from opiates. More than 47,000. These are the most current numbers we have out from the CDC. It takes time to get stats, but that was horrible. That included all prescription opiates and illegal opiates like heroin. So almost 50,000 people died back 4 years ago. We know this has increased since. In comparison to marijuana, which has had 0 deaths recorded. So that was 2017. Now in 2018, there was a farm bill presented, and this bill was passed into law, and it removed hemp from Schedule 1 off the CSA. Hallelujah. It's about time. So finally, after almost 50 years, hemp was removed from the CSA, which means it is now federally legal. CBD products are now federally legal. This is great progress. Marijuana remains on Schedule 1, but progress is progress. Hemp was finally removed a few years ago. So then in 2019, nearly 72,000 Americans died from drug overdose. This is an increase from quite a bit from 2018, and this is higher than the yearly death totals ever recorded for car accidents, guns, and AIDS. This is horrible. Drug overdose is increasing. It's on the rise. We know that during this pandemic, addictions have only gotten worse. Overdoses are increasing. So that was 2019. Now in 2020, making billions and contributing to the opioid epidemic by selling OxyContin, Purdue Pharma filed bankruptcy in 2019, and then in 2020, a settlement of $8 billion allowed the owners of Purdue Pharma to keep most of their private fortunes. So that happened in 2020. They were finally held a little bit accountable and had to pay out in a settlement. So also in 2020, the United Nations Commission for Narcotic Drugs removed cannabis from the Schedule 4 of the 1961 Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs. So the Single Convention Treaty took place back in 1961. It placed cannabis as a restricted drug, and it was finally removed. So you can find out more about that on the free book available on the website, togenesisagain.com. I go into a little more detail about that. So also last year, we had something historical happen. The U.S. House of Representatives historically passed legislation that removes cannabis from Schedule 1. So marijuana would be removed from Schedule 1. It was passed in the House, Now it needs to pass in the Senate, and then it needs to be signed into law in order to officially be removed from the CSA. So skeptics don't think this will necessarily happen, but it is progress and it's a step forward. So this act is called the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, the MORE Act. The good news is expungements are happening already, even though it hasn't been signed into law. States across the U.S. are expunging criminal records for people that have been locked up and kind of had their lives destroyed just from choosing to use marijuana, just possession amounts, like not even a criminal charge. So records are being expunged. So that's really good news for people who are struggling to find work because they have this record on their back. So progress. Finally, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say that drug overdose deaths rose in the first 3 months of 2020. Data roughly shows a 10% increase in fatalities. So there's no doubt the COVID pandemic has had an effect on Americans. It's impacted all of us. The opioid epidemic is only growing. I think we've all been impacted at some level. We all know someone that has been impacted by the opioid epidemic, maybe even overdosed and died. It's horrific. It's horrible. We have to help each other, you guys. We have to advocate for each other, look out for our friends and family, be there for one another. And so that's it for today. I just wanted to update you on some current events. Just want to remind you, as the snowplow is coming to get me out, you are loved, you are known, and you are never alone. Don't worry, good wins. Bye.